What's up guys, it's me again, TechDoff, and as promised in this video we are going to talk about Fitbit Alta HR. It's been about 2 weeks now that the holidays are over since I won this thing at a company Christmas party, and I've really gotten a chance now to play with it and with the software, so now I feel like I can give a bit more fair impression and not kind of being prejudgmental about what it can do and what it can't do. So in this video, I'm just going to tell you from what I've experienced in the past couple of weeks, what I like and what I don't like about it, and I'll give you my overall thoughts right at the end. So let's get right into it, shall we? The things that I like, I'll get right into right at the start is the price. Right now, it's about 125 US dollars on Amazon, and in my opinion, it's not really that bad for what you get. Obviously, its capabilities aren't going to be something like an Apple Watch or some of the other Android smartwatches out there, but the price isn't bad for what you get. It could be a lot worse, but could be better too. All right, so another thing I really like about this is the build quality. And in my line of work, I work in a lab, so I'm sitting at a table working with my hands a lot, cutting stuff, banging, and I've put this thing through its paces, bumping it around, scratching it on a table, physical, putting it through its works pretty much, and it still looks really nice in my opinion. I haven't scratched it up too bad. I did scratch it just a little bit on the side of the screen, but I don't really like using screen protectors too much on watches. I've never really been a watch person anyway, and I did get this thing for free, so I'm not too concerned about destroying it. But if I had bought this with my own money, I definitely would have picked up a screen protector. It's pretty durable, but I wouldn't drop it on cement or anything like that if you can avoid that. So the build is great though, especially for what you're paying. Probably the thing that I was most surprised about when I got this, and of course it is run on a battery, so you do have to charge it, is the battery life. The battery life on this thing is just insane. It actually lasted me an entire week on a single charge, and I'll say that again, an entire week on a single charge. And it does take a couple hours to charge. In exchange for a week-long battery, in my opinion, that's a solid trade-off. But the only thing I really wish it had, let me grab it here. Here's the charger as I showed in the first video. It's like a butterfly clip. I wish it was USB Type-C. So instead of this little magnetic clip, you could just take a Type-C port and just plug it in, since that's what my phone and most of my other gadgets use. But it's not that big a deal, especially for the price you pay. It is what it is. An entire week of battery charge is just insane. But that does come with other trade-offs, which we'll talk about in the things that I don't like here in a minute. And another thing I really like about this is the Fitbit app. It's platform agnostic, which is really nice. So if you have an iPhone or an Android phone, it'll work just fine. And it's actually really polished, and it gives you a ton of information. So you got information like your exercise goals, your sleep, which is probably my favorite feature, your heart rate. Obviously, that's a big selling point of this particular model. Track your food and all that. I don't really do that, but there are people out there that do. So it's there if you like it, and you can set your own challenges. Here, I'll try and hold this a little closer for you. You can get guidance. You can talk to other people who have Fitbits and, set goals against other people. I'm sure some people are competitive like that. And notifications. So this thing does connect to your phone and give you things like notifications, like text messages and that kind of stuff, and phone calls, which is really nice. Another thing I really kind of don't like, I know I'm jumping the gun here, is just battery. It just tells you low, medium, high up here. It doesn't really tell you a specific percentage, which some people, probably most people, don't care about, but just something I noticed after playing with it for a while. It'll sync automatically. Things like notifications, calls, texts, calendar events. You can have it vibrate, that kind of cool stuff. Reminders to move. I had to turn that off. Got kind of annoying. I sit at a desk all day at work. I don't really like to stop what I'm doing too much, but it would probably be better for me. It'll ask your wrist placement, which probably helps the gyroscope. All this other cool stuff. It says customized display. You're not really customizing it. You're just controlling what shows up when you tap on the display. So clock, heart rate, resting heart rate, distance, calories, active minutes, and battery. So you don't get a percentage there either, unfortunately, but it is what it is. And clock display is really, I guess, would be like a watch face type thing. Just a few presets here and there. Here, I'll try and hold it a little closer again. And then you can switch it to horizontal if you prefer. Not too many choices, but there's a few to choose from. So that's the Fitbit app, and really nice. I don't really actually go into it too much, just kind of just usually to check the battery, that kind of stuff. It's definitely well polished, and I do like it. It is in my list of positives. So now that I mentioned pretty much everything that I do like about the Fitbit, I do unfortunately have a list of things that I don't like, and I know I also listed this as a positive, but I see it as a negative as well, is actually the size. The fact that it's small is nice, and the fact that it lets you, keep it out of the way and it's not so gaudy, or it doesn't get in your way when you're working, that kind of thing, at least in my personal user experience. But that also works against it, because if you can see, the display is pretty small and you can't really see a lot of information on the display at once. So if you're like me and you get a lot of really long text messages, the words just kind of like slide down the screen and you kind of have to read it like a billboard, which I personally don't like. I prefer to just see it all on one big screen at once and just, scroll when I want to, but you got to pay for that. And this was only like $120. It is what it is. It is something I don't like though, so I do have to say it. Another thing I have to say about this thing that I don't like, it's not really giving me problems now, but the gyroscope can be a little inconsistent, and when you raise to check the time and see it work there. But there are other times, especially if I'm sitting down for a while and not moving my arms, I'll turn my wrist up. It won't respond. It's working now, but it has been an issue for me a couple times this week. Not really a huge issue. I mean, you can just raise your wrist again and it'll work, but there are some times I'm like shaking my wrist around. It won't show the time when I actually do want to see the time. It was frustrating here and there. This next one, though, is definitely, I feel, is a legitimate gripe of mine, the touchscreen on this thing. They say you're supposed to tap it to cycle between information, but a lot of times you have to press it like really hard. If you tap it lightly, sometimes it won't work, or you have to tap it like you can see here. It's working now because I'm hitting it in like the exact center of the display. Like you can't hit it up here, you can't hit it down here. It's got to be in the very middle, and it's got to be pretty hard. It's probably just a cheap display, I get it, for the price they're asking. And this next one I've alluded to quite a few times throughout this video. This thing is a fitness tracker, it's not a smartwatch, so obviously its function is a bit more limited. It is something I don't like because I see people with Apple Watches and the kind of function that you get with, NFC payments and music and that kind of thing. Obviously, this is catered toward a different market. It's more for, athletic people who prioritize fitness tracking and really don't want the extras and the extra price that comes with all that. I'm still going to put it in this video as a downside because there are products out there that can do more. And this last one is more of a me personally type thing that I don't like about it. I'm going to say it's the price, and I'm not saying because it's too high. I think it's a fair price for what you get. If I didn't win this at a party and get this for free, I personally wouldn't pay the $130, or I think is what I said. Yeah, $130 for this. Especially if I'm an iPhone user, I'd definitely go with the Apple Watch. It can do pretty much everything that you have on this and more for a little bit more money, and the Apple Watch is most likely going to last a lot longer than this thing. I personally would go for a better user experience, albeit at a higher price, but me personally, since I'm not an iPhone user, I am actually going to enjoy this for a while, at least until Google comes out with their Pixel watches, which I'm still waiting for. And just like I said before, keep in mind I didn't pay for this. So now that I've told you the main things that I like and don't like about this Fitbit, I wanted to close with some overall thoughts before I end the video. Just want to hit the big points before we end it. So first thing, this thing is good at being a fitness tracker, but that's really about it. It doesn't do music, it doesn't do specific apps, it doesn't do NFC payments or anything like that. It is limited on that front, but remember, you are only paying $125 as opposed to say $400 or $500 for an Apple Watch. So for what you get, it is a good price. And remember, it does work on iOS or Android. If you want a good fitness tracker without all the extra goodies and the extra cost that comes with that, then this would definitely be a good product for you. And also, this is probably the biggest plus for me of this entire product is its battery life. Because you're cutting out all those extra radios and antennas and all that kind of stuff, you are getting amazing battery life. And by amazing, I mean really amazing, because I've been getting about 5 days of battery with this thing before I have to charge it. And that has been really good for me, having never used a smartwatch, because it doesn't tether me to the wall all the time, having to either charge my phone or my Fitbit. So it's very uninterrupting and unobtrusive. So that's definitely a plus. And like I said, I'm not really personally into fitness tracking. This isn't really my thing. This isn't really what I'd go out and buy personally. Like I said, I didn't pay for it, and it doesn't do as much as things like the Apple Watch or some of the other Wear OS watches, but the notifications are nice. I do appreciate that. Me personally, I do plan to use this until Google finally releases their Pixel Watch and Android can finally have a solid competitor to the Apple Watch, because honestly, they've been leaving us in the dust for years. That's really about it, guys. Thanks for joining me. Appreciate your patience throughout the holidays, and if this video helped you out, please like it and leave a comment below if you have any questions, and I'll answer them as best I can, and hope to see you guys in the next one. So thanks for joining me, guys. Peace.